everybody, Superfan here for another weekly update. So a few of you were asking for me to talk while on the Sonata here. I will not be doing a review on it though, because as you can see from the Lincoln review, there's definitely a lot of people that get annoyed whenever I don't review enthusiast cars. And like I said in the last weekly update with the Mustang GT, I'm going to be getting back to doing strictly enthusiast cars here, starting with this next week. And anything that I review, quote unquote, that's going to be, you know, like any press cars I get that aren't exciting enthusiast cars, they will just be a bonus video, you know, on the weekend or something. And you know, that way I will always have a Wednesday review video of an enthusiast car and getting back to that whole thing. But yeah, this Hyundai Sonata I'm driving, like I've said before in last week's video, it's nice. It would be nicer if it was just a nicer model, you know, because not having padded armrests and stuff can be a little bit annoying, but otherwise it's actually not a bad car. But I actually won't be driving this car much longer. Reason being, well, first an update on the Mustang. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get back that soon, so it's going to be at least another 2 weeks here. But repairs have started, so it was, you know, first just waiting for all the parts to arrive. They're replacing it with all OEM Ford parts, and so once all the parts arrived, which happened, I believe, on Monday, now they're actually starting the repair process and getting the ball rolling with all that. So hopefully, you know, that goes well, and like I said, you know, it should be ready at some point in the last week of July, fingers crossed. But I'm only going to be driving this car for a few more days, and that is because a little exciting trip I'm going to be going on here. Next week I'll be going to LA, Los Angeles, California, and it's going to be my, I think, third time going out there, fourth time going out there, and I really enjoy it. My wife, though, hasn't been for more than like 48 hours on a quick little trip one other time in her life, and she's always wanted to go out there, so we're going on that trip for our 1-year anniversary. So it's going to be a trip strictly just a vacation type thing, which I think both of us kind of need after this month and everything. So I'm not going to be filming any car reviews. I know there's a lot of very friendly people in LA that have already offered their cars and are, you know, very excited to meet up and do all that kind of stuff, but this trip's just going to be for me and my wife. I do plan to come out to LA again probably this winter. It's looking like that makes the most sense currently. And acceleration, where'd you go to the highway? Gosh, I missed the GT so freaking much. So anyway, yeah, but like I was saying, a trip to LA makes sense probably here in the winter sometime, especially since it's so hard to film car reviews in the middle of winter here in Pittsburgh. So yeah, but yeah, so that should be fun though, this little trip here next week. Definitely follow along once again on social media. I probably won't be doing any kind of videos or vlogging even of non-car things there. So if you want to, you know, follow along with our little LA adventures, I will be posting on Snapchat and Instagram and all that kind of stuff, and the links for all that is below in the description if you don't follow along already. But yeah, so I mean, that's it as far as everything else goes. I will be doing a little trip this weekend to Maryland as well to film a bunch of car reviews before I go to LA next week. I'm super busy with stuff going on, so I'll be out of town this weekend as well for that. And so I'm going to be filming 4 car reviews hopefully, and like I mentioned in previous updates, they're going to be sweet cars. I'm very excited about them. All enthusiast stuff, 100%, all very, very exciting stuff. And so that should be a good little trip too. But once again, I already have a completely packed schedule while I'm in Maryland, so I'm not going to be able to take on anything else, unfortunately. But I do plan to do another trip to Maryland again, because there's still some other cars that I don't have time to review that I do want to come back and film reviews of again at some point. So I will make an announcement probably about the next Maryland trip for any others that would like to offer cars, or you know, propose a meetup or something like that. And you know, we can do something like that here in the future. Power! Oh, this thing's slow. Another fun little thing I forgot to mention, you know, with going out to LA, I have rented a Mustang, or similar, according to the rental listings. So yeah, hopefully it actually is a Mustang, and then that'll be a nice little break from the Hyundai here. Even if it is just a V6 or an EcoBoost, still will be miles better than driving another boring rental car. So excited for that next week too. One last thing I want to mention too in regards to the LA trip is that because I will be out of town, I'm not going to be able to do a weekly update next week, so there will not be a weekly update, but there will still be a car review next week, as well as a sound video of the car that I reviewed, and also probably on Monday I'll be posting up an outtakes video. I haven't done one of those in a long time, almost probably about a year, so next segment of outtakes will be posted up. It's going to be a short little video, but should be funny nonetheless. So yeah, but that's it as far as all the updates here, so I'll send it back to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is Hyundai this past week unveiled the 2017 Hyundai Elantra Sport, which looks pretty good here. And this isn't just some, hopped up little package that has badges and nothing else. This actually has the 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine out of the Veloster Turbo, which does, so in this application it does 200 horsepower and 190 pound-feet of torque, which, is about the same. It's 1 horsepower and 5 pound-feet of torque less than the Veloster Turbo, but still the same great power plant, and should have a pretty good sound too, based off the first few little snippets and stuff that I've seen, and looks great though, I gotta say. And really, for a front-wheel drive fun sedan, I mean, the Civic Si is a little bit outdated now with the new Civic coming out already and the new Si nowhere in sight, and so really the only competition this car has on the new market would be the Volkswagen Jetta GLI, and personally I think this looks cooler than the GLI. And, very similar power output with I think the Jetta GLI has 210 horsepower, but it's almost certainly going to be more expensive than this car as well. And look at the interior too. It's actually a really cool thing. I mean, it's got a flat bottom steering wheel, really cool setup there, and I'd be really curious to drive it, because in addition to the more horsepower here over a standard Elantra, it also has a new multi-link rear suspension setup. So on the Veloster Turbo, that was one of the biggest downfalls, was the handling, because it had a very crude torsion bar suspension in the rear, but this has an actual multi-link rear suspension, and so hopefully that'll do wonders for the handling and actually make this competitive and be a really good package. So I'm actually kind of curious to drive that. I think it's a pretty cool idea, and so exciting to see Hyundai roll that out. Mazda this past week has also unveiled a mild refresh for the new Mazda 3 for this new model year here. And so the only real change is it has Mazda's new G-vectoring control, which it's basically, it tweaks the engine, chassis, and transmission, everything that supposedly makes the driving experience better and more enjoyable and more fun to drive. So in addition to that, the only other change is that it has slightly slimmer turn signals and fog lights, but otherwise it looks the same. But that's okay, because the Mazda 3, I think, is still probably the best looking small car in its class. I think it's just a beautiful design, and there's no reason to change it, because I still think it's the most beautiful thing out there, like I said, in this segment. So cool to see those mild changes. But some other Mazda news. Now the new Mazda CX-9, they've been rolling that out and stuff, and in their talks with the Mazda engineers and stuff, it came up in an interview that the 2.5 liter turbocharged Skyactiv engine in the CX-9, it's a little bit of a disappointment in that, because it's such a large SUV with only 250 horsepower, but the interesting thing was the engineer said that engine, it actually fits perfectly already in the Mazda 3 and in the Mazda 6. So 250 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque would be really welcome in Mazda speed versions of the 3 and 6. Mazda in the past, a few months ago, already said they do not want to do a Mazda speed version until the next generation of the 3 and 6. I don't know why, especially if this motor fits. You don't even have to call it a Mazda speed version. Just throw it in there, and it's a nice little bump in power, and especially if you tune it and stuff, I think you could have a really awesome, faster version of those cars, and would be really cool, especially, now with the Ford Fusion Sport coming out with its more powerful engine. If you want to have a competitive car, have the Mazda 6 with this engine, bump up the horsepower a little bit, and you have something that competes a little bit. It's not going to be as much horsepower as the Fusion Sport, but it could still be a little bit more competitive. So we'll have to wait and see what they end up doing, but just an interesting little tidbit there, and fingers crossed Mazda comes to their senses soon. Speaking of Ford, though, this past week, Ford officially announced the specs for the new second-generation 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. It's going to be in the new Ford F-150 for 2017. And so it's a pretty impressive thing. It actually has best-in-class torque, they're saying, out of any engines, V8s, diesels, anything. They didn't include the Nissan Titan in that, because that is considered, I guess, a little bit larger than the F-150. But, so the numbers for this, it does 375 horsepower and an impressive 470 pound-feet of torque. torque, which is a good improvement. That's 50 more pound-feet of torque and 10 more horsepower over the previous 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. And we already know that in the Raptor trim, it's going to have 450 horsepower. Who knows how much torque in that, but still going to be one heck of a motor there. Very impressive. And it's also, of course, the 2017 F-150s also get the new 10-speed automatic transmission that's been rumored to also be going into the Mustang for the 2018 model year. And so, but yeah, all kinds of good stuff here for the F-150. A couple quick stories from Nissan this past week. The first is they've unveiled a refreshed Pathfinder, which is still based on the same model from 2013. It's just got a new exterior and interior, and they also have upgraded the engine, given it direct injection, the 3.5-liter V6, and now does 284 horsepower and 259 pound-feet of torque, which is an improvement over the 260 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque of the previous one. And it's, you know, a nice update, you know, and hopefully help to make it a little more competitive, because the Pathfinder, from what I remember hearing a while back, does not sell very well anymore, so maybe this will help out with that. A more interesting thing that could help out with sales if Nissan can get it ready fast enough is Nissan has officially unveiled their autonomous driving system in Japan, and it's going to be called ProPilot. So ProPilot is very similar to Tesla's autopilot technology. It'll control the vehicle's steering, braking, and acceleration all automatically. It has a mono camera that is pointed towards the road and can figure out what's going on and control all those things, keep the car in the center of its lane, all that good stuff. It can be used currently at speeds between 19 miles per hour and 62 miles per hour. It's only available in their minivan that they have only in Japan, so it's not available in America here yet or in any other vehicles in Japan. But, you know, they said that this is going to be rolled out pretty quickly here now that they have the technology. Now, unlike autopilot, this does require you to keep your hands on the wheel. It has like some torque sensing system, so if you aren't applying any kind of pressure to the steering wheel, then it will freak out and force you to take control. So it's not like as easy as the autopilot system in the Teslas, that just lets you do whatever you want. This, you actually still have to hold on to the wheel and, you know, be paying attention, but it's nice, you know, for in traffic and things like that. They said in 2018 they do want to make it so it's able to change lanes as well. They're promising that for 2018. By 2020, they're promising fully autonomous driving on urban roads to be part of, you know, in street driving and stuff like that. But once again, they want to make sure that you still have your hands on the wheel and stuff, especially with the recent slew of autopilot fatalities and accidents and things like that. You know, I think this is becoming more and more of a concern, and there's more pressure on Tesla and all that kind of stuff. But interesting to see that Nissan is, you know, slowly going to be safely rolling out their ProPilot system here, and hopefully it goes well. And the last story this week is there's a rumor that the Chevy SS sedan could be getting the supercharged LSA V8 engine, which is the engine out of the previous generation CTSV that was also in the Corvette ZR1, all that kind of stuff. So there's rumors that that engine could be put into the SS, maybe for the 2018 model year. Reason being is that the Holden Commodore, you know, is going to have its final hurrah here before it gets discontinued, which is what the SS is basically heavily based on. It's the same exact car with different badges. And so because they're, you know, getting rid of the Holden Commodore, they're going out with a bang, and they're going to have, I think it says, well, I think 536 horsepower here for the Holden version, but we know, you know, the previous gen CTSV had 556 horsepower. So if this was brought to the Chevy SS here in America, it could have, you know, much more power. So again, just a rumor. We know the Holden version is getting it, and it fits obviously and works. But Chevy has officially said for 2017 here, there's no engineering changes to the Chevy SS sedan. So who knows for 2018 what they do. They may just discontinue it here in the States, you know, after 2017, because again, it's not a hot seller. It's a very niche vehicle, and so you know, its future is definitely uncertain currently. So fingers crossed they do make a hotter version. Maybe that'll help it to sell a little bit better. But right now there's rumors that at some point it could find its way into the SS sedan as well. So anyway, that's it for all the updates, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.